Hi book babes, my name is Ainsley and welcome to my library. For today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys all about the reads that I hope to get to during my fall semester. Filming this, next week is my first week of senior year as a college student and I'm so excited. By the time this video goes up, I will be about 2 weeks into my fall semester, and so today's video is just for me to talk about all the books that I want to get to. These are my fall semester hopefuls. I commute from home to school, so I have about a 35-minute drive both ways, which is not bad. I'm very blessed that I'm able to save some money and live at home, but because I do commute, half of the books I'm going to be mentioning on today's list are going to be read in the audiobook format, and I actually already have them picked out. Through my library, I have access to Cloud Library, and there are so many phenomenal audiobooks on there, and so on that platform, I have a bunch of these saved for later that hopefully I can just place on hold and then quickly grab them. And so I have a list right here of all the books that I want to get to in audiobook format and in my physical format. Most of these I do have these books in the physical format, and the reason why I have them on my audiobook list is because they were available in Cloud Library, or I've read books similar enough to them that I just loved as an audiobook. I recognize that honestly the way you read a book can make or break your experience. I'm going on a tangent, so let's get into the list. Most of the books I'm going to be mentioning are on my new TBR bookshelf. If you guys have been here for a while, then you've probably already watched that video, but if you haven't, you guys can click right over here. I filmed me organizing this beautiful shelf behind me, so if you guys want to go check that out, please do. That'd be awesome. The first book that I want to listen to as an audiobook is A Flicker in the Dark, and the reason why I'm choosing audiobook for this is because my mom listened to it as an audiobook. And actually, funny story, she fell asleep during the ending 3 different times, so she's actually finished this book 4 times, but she's only listened to the ending once, which is super funny. But anyways, so I really want to read this book. I think the synopsis just really sold it for me. Out of this book, we follow a girl in her late teens. During her childhood, a bunch of teenage girls went missing and ended up being found as murdered, and her dad was deemed the serial killer, and he was put away for years during this crime. And now that she's grown up, she's a lot older, a lot more matured, a copycat seems to be happening, and girls end up going missing this summer, and she's just trying to figure out what in the world is happening. I'm a criminal justice major, so anything revolving serial killers I just find to be very interesting. Not the crime itself, but the psychology behind, like the psychological makeup of a serial killer is really intriguing to me, so I'm kind of interested to read a book and the point of view from a serial killer's child. Next up, I have What Lies in These Woods, and I have actually no idea what the synopsis is. It's so weird. Like, I read the synopsis and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read that so bad. So I bought it as my book of the month pick for that month. And now I'm rereading the synopsis and I'm just like, whoa, that is so cool. Like, I just got myself excited again. We follow these 2 friends, Naomi and what's her name? Naomi and Olivia. And they saw something in the woods, magical. I don't really know what happened, but they saw something, and they ended up putting a guy away for years as a serial murderer. They identified him, whatever, he's been put away. And years later, Olivia's like, I want to come forward and confess, because apparently they lied about it. But then Olivia goes missing. So Naomi, her friend, is like, what the heck is happening? So now she's going on this adventure to figure out what really happened in those woods, where Olivia went, and just trying to get justice for herself. I don't really know. It sounds interesting. Then I have The Golden Couple. So it's basically about this couple where the wife was unfaithful and they've decided to go to therapy, and their therapist actually just lost her license because of her unorthodox methods. And so because this couple is just so desperate to salvage their marriage, they're okay, whatever, let's do her methods, let's figure it out, we want to try to fight for this thing. And obviously during therapy there's still some unspoken secrets, and we just follow them throughout their therapy sessions, trying to save their marriage, but also while uncovering all these secrets and lies. And I think the therapist Avery is going to play some huge part into why this couple has problems. That's just me being an outside person putting in my perspective, but that's what I think is gonna happen. Next up, we have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I am just so excited to read this book. I think all of us saw Larry on Book Talk post a video raving about this series, and I think all of us immediately went and added it to our Amazon shopping carts and just popped it in. My parents, they go to Duke every other week. Not really, because my mom doesn't have chemo treatments right now, but whenever my mom is having chemo, they drive 3 hours to Duke and 3 hours back every single Thursday for my mom to receive treatment. And they listen to so many audiobooks because they're driving like 6 hours every week. So they just go through audiobooks like crazy. And so I told them about this book. They immediately got it as an audiobook. They listened to it during their trip, and they both love the series, and they actually finished the entire series. And it's also just so funny because I'll tell my parents, I really want to listen to this audiobook. And then they go and listen to it first. They're like, oh, Ainsley, you really got to read that audiobook. And it's like, I know. I love Criminal Minds, and this book is being like marketed as a teenage Criminal Minds because it follows 4 teenagers who they just have this intelligence about them, and so they are put up in an apartment and they are just solving all of these cold cases. Honestly, it seems very, very fall to me. So this is one of the books that I have on my list as an audiobook, but I would not mind reading it as a physical book because the font is huge. So I definitely feel like if I have a weekend where I don't have that much homework, I'm gonna for sure knock this out. And I can see me buying the rest of the series because look at how beautiful that is. All the covers just look so fun, and like it's black but it has like a vibrant color. I love it. I want to read The Bodyguard by Catherine Sinter, and also with The Bodyguard I also want to read Hello Stranger, which is another new book by Catherine Sinter. I want to read this book as an audiobook because it's available, and I don't really know why, but I just think every now and then between all these thrillers, you just need a cute little light romance, and I've been told that this romance is closed door, super cute. I love the fact that she's the bodyguard. According to the synopsis, she looks more like a kindergarten teacher than a bodyguard, and so people would never suspect that she is his protection agent. So they decide that they're gonna fake date. As for Hello Stranger, I do not own the physical copy, but I have it's saved in my library on Cloud Library, so I technically have it. So I'm not sure what that's about at all, but people have put this on their 6-star bookshelves, so it's gonna be good. And I obviously am just gonna go ahead and get excited for Hello Stranger as well, but I have no idea what that book's about. None. But if I love The Bodyguard, I'm immediately going to read Hello Stranger. So the third book is the only one I have on my list, which is As Good as Dead. And the reason I am choosing to add this book to my audiobook is because these 2 books, obviously, as you can see, they're still in their case. I read the first 2 books as an audiobook, and I absolutely devoured them. And so I really want to read As Good as Dead in the same format as the other 2. I feel like if I, like Carrie, what? Taylor Jenkins reads all of her books. I've never read a physical book. I always listen to her books as audiobooks. And so therefore I feel like I can never pick up a book and physically read it because my history with her is audiobooks. And so that is kind of how I feel with Holly Jackson. The first 2 books I've read as audiobooks, so we just gotta stick through it and read the last one as an audiobook as well. This series gives me such good fall vibes. I really feel like Pippa, her character, is just made for fall, honestly. Is her name even Pippa? What's her name? Pippa. Pippa's fall. And so while this book might take place not in fall, because our lead is a fall girly, it's a fall book. Girl Logic. The last book on my audiobook list is The Midnight Library. I have actually no idea what this book is about. But somebody like hauled it and I was watching their book haul video and it just seemed so interesting to me that now I added it to my save for later. I want to say they like die. Okay, are we ready? I'm going to read the synopsis. Somewhere out beyond the edge of the universe, there is a library that contains an infinite number of books, each one the story of another reality. One tells the story of your life as it is, along with another book for the other life you could have lived if you had made a different choice at any point in your life. While we all wonder how our lives might have been, what if you had the chance to go to the library and see for yourself? Would any of these other lives truly be better? In the Midnight Library, Nora Seed finds herself faced with this decision, faced with the possibility of changing her life for a new one, following a different career, undoing old breakups, realizing her dreams of becoming a glaciologist. She must search within herself as she travels through the Midnight Library to decide what is truly fulfilling in her life and what makes it worth living in the first place. That is so cool. I love that. I thought she died. Maybe she doesn't die. Maybe she does die and they just don't want to be like, you're dead. But anyways, so that seems really, really interesting to me. I am intrigued. Color Me Curious. So I'm excited to dive into that book. It's not on my top priority at all, but it does seem fall and wintry, so I'm definitely going to try to read it during this time of year. Now we are going to move into the books that I hope to read physically this year. If He Had Been With Me, I honestly don't really know what this book is about. I honestly just think any book that's going to break my heart, make me cry is going to be a fall book. Please don't ask me why. I know that a lot of people say you're gonna, like, you just love the book and then you're heartbroken on like the last chapter. So I really want to see if this book is going to affect me at all. A lot of books have been like, oh my gosh, you're going to sob whenever you read this book, and I don't cry at all. But books where people are like, oh, it's the happiest book ever, I'm sobbing. So I don't know. My emotions are just kind of like messed up a little. Next up, I want to read Fourth Ring by Rebecca Yarros. The sequel to this book comes out in November, so I definitely want to read this book as close as I can to that release date, because so many people say you're just left on this cliffhanger and you're going to want to read the second book as soon as you finish it, and I definitely am a very impatient person, so I'm going to try to keep that wait as short as I can. But also, so many people were reading this book in July and it just doesn't scream summer to me, so I could not pick it up because it's not summer. It definitely looks fall and wintry, so I definitely want to save this book for October, November. Honestly, I'm totally okay with reading it like September. I think the sprayed edges are just golden, and yes, I haven't read this book, but I pre-ordered the sequel because I wanted to make sure that I was getting the sprayed edges version. With fantasy books, I try to keep myself far away from the synopsis just because I don't know what's going to happen and I don't want to spoil anything for me. But so in this book we follow, I don't know why I want to say her name is Violet, because that's not it at all. Oh my gosh, her name is Violet. Anyway, we follow Violet and she goes to this like war training school and she chooses to become a dragon rider. And I think whenever you're at this school, if you don't match with the dragon or you don't succeed, you die. So it's kind of like the Hunger Games of the university. Like you either make it out alive or you're dead. So it's going to be really, really interesting. I've never read a book about like a war college before, so that's going to be fun. And I want to say her dragon trainer, or like her like I guess like the TA of her class, again, I've never read the book so I don't know, but I think her and her TA have like an enemies to lovers vibe, and like not just like a, oh, we're enemies but I secretly love you, like they're enemies. So I'm excited to pick up this book and actually experience a true enemies to lovers relationship. Next on my list is Babel. I heard so many beautiful and amazing things about this book last year. A lot of people say it reads like a textbook, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna love that or hate that, but I'm so open to giving it a chance. Again, the cover does not scream summer or spring to me, so I had to wait until fall or winter to pick up this beautiful book. In this book, we follow Robin Swift, and he decides to go to this school of language, and in that department, I think there's magic. I'm excited to experience this and just give it a chance. It's super thick though, so I don't know how it's gonna go reading it physically with my school and work schedule, but we're gonna find out. And I'm excited to give it a shot. So yeah, I want to read The Grace Year. This, I've been told it's kind of like the Hunger Games, but like differently. I don't really know. But so basically nobody really wants to speak of the Grace Year, but whenever you turn 16, you're released into the wild and you get these magical powers, and I think they have to get rid of their magic while they're in the wild in order to be able to return home pure for marriage. So I think whenever you go into the wild, it's all about just getting rid of your magic. And I think if you can't get rid of your magic, you die. I think it is literally the Hunger Games, but with magic. It has literally been, oh, that is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Next up, I have Love Theoretically, which, you know what, this isn't fall at all, but the main character is a professor, and whenever I think about school, I always picture like the fall semester, not necessarily spring. So I definitely feel like reading a book about a professor is just going to be perfect. But so they are rival physicists, and there's an academic feud, there's fake dating. Our main character, Elsie, she's obviously a professor, but also on the side she does fake dating, and she ends up fake dating one of her boss's younger brother, I believe. I really want to read Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. It's been on my list for a while now, and I just have not yet gotten to it. In this book, we follow Kenna, and she has just spent the past 5 years of her life in prison. She's released, and she is going back to her hometown to try to be reunited with her daughter, who's placed in the foster care system. And once she goes back to her hometown, everybody has pretty much closed the door on her. Nobody really wants to make an effort with her again. They've been burned by her in the past. Understandably, they're not really open to giving her a second chance. And the only person who is open to her is Ledger Ward, interesting name, and he is apparently one of the last connections that Kenna has with her daughter. And so as they are slowly becoming closer, they're trying to keep everything under wraps, because apparently if people are to open their eyes and realize that they're getting close, all the bridges would be burned for the both of them. They are obviously just trying to heal with one another, and slowly a romance is developed. So I'm really excited to read this book, and I'm really hoping that this book makes me feel pain. That sounds bad. But again, like I said earlier, a book, it's very rare for a book to just make me feel this incredible sadness, and I just want my heart to be broken by a book just one time. Last but not least, I really want to read the Briar You series. I read the Off-Campus series during my sophomore year, that fall semester, and that was just such a fun escape for me, just being able to be done with homework and have an hour before I went to bed to just dedicate to reading, and I would pick up the Off-Campus series, and it just always brought a smile to my face. The characters, just, it was so good. So this will be my third Elle Kennedy series that I'm reading. I read the Off-Campus series, and this past summer I finished the Avalon Bay trilogy. Unless she comes out with the fourth, and it's going to be obviously a series, but as of right now it's a trilogy, and I've read them all, and they have all been so much fun to read. I just think Elle Kennedy has such a way of making characters that are so relatable and putting them through real life situations, and I love her for that. And I think these are my top priority for the physical side of things. Okay guys, so that is all the books on my fall TBR for this upcoming semester. I hope that you guys have read some of these books and ended up loving them. If you have, please comment down below which books that you've read and loved. And if you have any more books that you read during your fall semester that you think I would absolutely love or should add to my list, comment those down below too. I am always looking to expand my reading TBR, which I probably shouldn't because I already have so many on that list. If you love these books and want to see my journey and experience while reading them, click subscribe. I'm going to be making some really fun vlogs of me just reading these books and sharing my experience during that. So feel free to subscribe and hang around. And if you're going into college, I hope that you have a very successful and fun fall semester, but don't forget to prioritize your mental health, seeing as it is very stressful. Well, I will see you guys next Thursday at 5 p.m. Bye!